It's a reality we have the death. So
Right.
I'm afraid that the young ones might feel a little bit challenged to do some research, essay writing. Then your parents say, hey, that's actually good. Expose them earlier to do those things. So, are you great, Esther?
Am I what?
Do you great to do something, like doing research
yeah.
things? Okay, hope it's not challenge. If it's too much challenge, let me know. Okay, so we'll dial down for you. So, including you. So, all right. Yeah, I think you're a smart guy. So, you're able to do research. Where's this gentleman? So he's gone. Okay. I'm not sure you guys have a good grade or not. Have you heard about it?
I passed.
You passed.
Got about an 80.
Well, that's
Esther
impressive.
got the best score though.
What?
Esther got an 86.
86? How that even happen?
Alright, and then Benji got a
71.
71.
Oh, how that even happen?
We did pretty good this time.
It's choices. So I don't understand 81 what that means. So go ahead.
Mine hasn't been done
Yeah,
yet.
she's
'cause
Oh,
I'm
you're taking it.
So I will try to.
You
get
don't
it
have to
next
do
week.
it, okay? So just so.
Well, I want to. Do it.
Yeah, there you
I'm
go.
prepared.
Okay. Okay. What about you, Laja?
50.
Oh!
Don't know about that.
Yeah, that's why he hired away now. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we finished the 40 chapter, right? So.
Yeah, so we're on 41 this
So today we might be able to finish it all.
Yeah.
Why not? Huh? Is that okay for you guys?
Know what,
We have 49 chapter. Wow.
Wait, there's
41,
it was only 42. It was only the 42.
42.
Yeah.
I have 49 here.
Really?
Oh, the word 49. Can you
Oh,
believe that?
that's confusing.
I was like, what?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Chapter 42, the name is Word 49. That is so
Oh.
confusing.
Yeah.
So I what? Last time checked, 42 chapter. Okay, we're going to start with a map. So let's look at the map. Pacific Ocean. Anybody see Pacific Ocean? Sydney. Do you see? Okay. Botany Bay. Who's the guys leading to the first immigrants from Britain to Australia? Do you know?
Sam Houston?
Sam Houston. No. Sam Houston is in Texas.
okay.
I don't know.
Oh no. Okay. You remember he moved called prisoners or whatever, so criminals, so studying there. Started off New South Wales. I don't quite remember. James something. James something. Elijah, remember the guy who started with Australia?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I don't
Yeah.
know his name.
I forgot his name. Okay. See, that's how good students we are. We are really good students. Yeah.
Do you
Yeah,
guys know-
Captain Cook. I remember now. James
yeah.
Cook. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
James Cook. You remember the ships Endeavor stuff like that, right? So
I remember.
Endeavor. Okay, James Cook. Exactly, James Cook. He's a cook. So yeah. So anyway, he started there. Now catch on with that history. Evidently, the nation began to become more developed, right? So become a more formal nation. So that going to pick up from there. You can see the arrival in Botany Bay. Remember that? Okay. Now let's look at this little island called New Zealand, that nation. Okay, like you found the two islands for us.
New Zealand,
Mm-hmm.
right on the bottom right side. On my right. Anyway.
South Island, North Island, right? So do you see?
Straight.
Yeah. Do you see Cook Street? There you go.
How do you say that?
Auckland.
Oakland, yeah.
Auckland. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Southern Sea. Where's the Southern Sea is? That's a
Right
big
under
sea.
Australia.
Yeah. Okay. Are you guys interested in this books? Okay. Okay. Kila wanted to read. Let's see read to the first, if you possible, the first 2 pages of this. So,
Already. The Treaty of
I can't. Wait,
Watangi. Yeah, I think it's
Watangi.
it's a local language, you know. 'Cause so many people about that. Maybe I'm not too sure. Go ahead.
The United States has annexed.
Annexed, and annex means
Taken for itself.
yeah. There we go. Yeah.
So I'm saying annexed
Mhm.
land that had once belonged to the France, Spain, and Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
While
Let's see.
Mexican and the United States soldiers were fighting over this land, other
Annexation.
annexation
Repeat on me. Annexation.
Annexation.
There you go.
Annexation was taking place on the other side of the world.
Mm-hmm.
The two islands of New Zealand were about as far away from the United States as you can get. Even today, it takes over 20 hours of flying time and to take a plane from Washington D.C. to New Zealand.
Oh, that's 2 days. 1 day. I'm sorry. 1 day, huh? Full day. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Not too many Americans have ever seen New Zealand, but more and more British citizens have settled on these two little islands.
Mm-hmm. Wheeling ships. That's hunting whales. You know, hunting whales. Yeah. Yeah.
Whaling ships from Australia.
You don't want to take notes anymore because it's not important. Not going to be tested. You know what? I'm going to design those 2 tests for these 2 chapters.
Do it.
That's a good
Four
job.
questions.
Yeah, 4 questions. That's a good
4
one.
questions.
That's a good one. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Whaling ships from Australia fished in the waters off New Zealand's coast. English convicts who had finished serving their prison terms and now wanted to leave Australia came to New Zealand and built their houses there.
Mm.
The natives of New Zealand were friendly to the newcomers. They are friendly, humane people, wrote an English visitor
Mm-hmm.
to the island.
Mm.
For fine, turned limbs and well-made persons, I think they cannot be excelled. The children are in a general exceeding beautiful. I said that right?
Mm-hmm.
Did I say that right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have slept all night there in their houses 8 miles up country without any attempt being made on me. I don't understand what that's saying. What is it supposed to mean?
Attempts to hurt them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's the strange people, and oftentimes they attack one another. Thinking about, like Indian here,
Okay.
attack American. Go ahead.
As the English colonists began to settle on their shores, the native trade with them, they called the English
Pakeha.
Pakeha,
Pakeha. Mm-hmm. White strangers. Mm-hmm.
white strangers,
Mm-hmm.
called themselves Maori,
Mm-hmm.
ordinary people.
Mm.
The settlers thought Maori was a proper name for the natives, but Maori weren't just one people. They were a whole collection of different tribes, each with its own name and own
Customs. Mm-hmm. Like traditions, So,
Often, these Maori tribes fought with each other using spears and stone axes.
Just
But now-
they have a lot of tattoo. That's why everybody taking tattoo today. It's all because of Maori people. I'm not joking. Yeah. Cover the body with tattoos. Yeah, the face with tattoos.
But now, the tribes could trade game, sweet potatoes, and other foods to the
Pakehas.
Pakehas.
Mm-hmm.
Fun name.
Wild strangers. That is including
Oh.
you. It's not me. I'm not white. I'm just thinking about you, the white guy. Thinking to call you Pakeha, Pakeha. chasing you around.
The Pakehas.
Oh no.
Pakeha. Not the payaya. Pajat. So,
Pakeha? Is that how you say it?
Pakeha.
Pakeha?
Pakeha.
Pake.
Pakeha.
Pakeha?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Paki? No.
Yeah. The best way to read those things is imagine you're there, like a storybook, right? You're there. Somebody
Oh,
calling
so
me Pakeha. Oh.
Pakeha. Okay. Pakeha.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Pakeha.
Pakehas
Mm-hmm.
in exchange for guns.
Oh wow.
The tribal battlefields rang with the sound of musket fire. The smell of powder and smoke filled the air.
Have you guys read the book or know the book of the Three Musketeers?
No. I've heard of it before though.
It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I read
Is during
that.
this, is that during the time or something?
No, it's a French.
Oh, it's okay.
Musketeer to shoot the guns.
Is it a true story?
It is not necessarily true, but it's a historical story, however. So yeah.
More Mori. Is that how you say it? More Mori. Morai.
Mori people.
Mori.
Mori. Right.
Mori warriors died in the battles than ever before. Wounded warriors suffered from infections caused by the musket balls infections. That traditional Mori medicine could do nothing to heal. And Mori also caught new diseases from the
Pakehas.
what?
Pakehas.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah, let's do this.
Pakehas.
Let's do this. You see, Pakeha.
Pakeha.
Pakeha. Like you're shouting to everybody, you know. So very terrified again. Yeah.
Smallpox, measles, and
Influenza.
influenza. Oh, I've never heard of that one.
Influenza. There you go.
Influenza.
Yeah.
Thousands died. In less than 40 years, half the Mori were dead.
Wow.
The Mori fought with each other, but so did the English settlers in New Zealand and had no laws. Wow. Farmers quarreled over their boundaries of their land and over the right to use water.
Remember breaking down the cluster of words into meaningful phrases, am I right? So yeah.
Missionaries who came to New Zealand to teach the Mori about Christianity saw that more and more Mori land was being stolen. And they worried about the Mori trade with the settlers. The Mori were handing over food exchange for English alcohol and drinking themselves to illness. Missionaries and the English settlers both begged the British to come to New Zealand and make a law abiding place. Thank you. Great Britain refused to come and lay down the law. New Zealand wasn't a British colony. The British had no right to make rules. Sorry, I lost my place. For all of its people. Mori and Pakeha follow. But the British suggested a solution. If the Mori would give New Zealand to the British could make laws that would protect them from white invasion. The British promised that that the Mori could keep all of their land, and British soldiers would make sure that no settlers took it away. On February 6, 1840, a British Navy captain named Captain William Hobson met with a group of Mori leaders.
That's an important name, all right? It's for that nation, all right? So William Hobson. And the year is 1820. So, Oh, 40, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hobson and the Mori signed a treaty between the Mori and Great Britain. This treaty of
Waitangi. We must pronounce strangely. So.
said the said that Britain would protect the property and the rights of the Maori against the British settlers.
Mm-hmm.
In return, the Maori would recognize English as their ruler.
England.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Hobson became a governor of New Zealand and declared it to be a British colony. As soon as New Zealand was declared British, more settlers arrived. Most of them decided to live in the South Island of the colony, which had plenty of grazing land for the animals, good farmland for crops. And that's where the 2 pages end.
Oh, that's your ended. Okay, so Esther, do you care to pick it up from there? So. In 1844, that's where it started. In the middle of the paragraph.
In 1844, a ship brought 2 flocks of sheep to New Zealand from Australia. No sheep had ever been seen on the islands before.
Wow, that's interesting, huh?
But they liked to eat the rough grass on the hillsides.
They didn't bring what is that animal in Australia? Have 2 legs? Kangaroo, yeah. I don't think they bring there. Yeah.
How did they survive it?
Yeah. And you remember the story? I tell you a funny story, okay? There's no rabbits in Australia. Yeah. So some settlers bring rabbits there. You know, rabbit can grow very fast. They eat all the grass. So there's millions.
Oh my
So you have to find a way to kill all the rabbits. So can you imagine that?
Yeah.
So that's why they have laws very serious about moving certain animals around because they are quickly change their habitats, and this upsets called the chain of life, whatever it's called, so, and certain fish were introduced to certain rivers here, and this other fishes died out, so. More than that, animals. Plants do that as well, right? So that's why these days people are smart to put a custom to examining the things that are moving around. So there are certain crocodiles literally are set free. So certain fish set free, the whole river system is upset. So go ahead. Go ahead.
Soon the 2 flocks had grown to hundreds of sheep. Settlers sent the wool to European ports. Many grew rich from the wool. Farmers who had claimed huge amounts of South Island land sold some of their pastures for high sums of money to newcomers and grew even richer. Some of the Maori decided that they too would sell their land for money. But the British governor called them to his headquarters and told them, "The treaty says that you can only sell land to the British government itself, to me. Then I can resell it to settlers." The Maori were puzzled. They didn't know that the treaty said any such thing. The governor was offering them a low price for the land, and they could see that Britain would make a great deal of money buying Maori land for a small amount and then reselling it to settlers for much more. But the governor showed them his copy of the treaty. "There," he said, "you agreed to this condition." Soon the Maori realized that the Treaty of Waitangi had set many conditions that they were not aware of.
That's unequal treaty, right? So cheating treaty, right? Can you make that? So as a government to do that, in order to make law, is totally dishonorable, right? So eventually, what do you think that people are going to feel about it? They're not a small population in the land. They're native in the land. Don't they feel cheated or not? Yeah, that's the stupidity of the rulers, right? More than just a treaty deal, but with that start, do you think the society or that people will be happy to live with them? That's serious, terrible, corrupted ruler, suicide ruler, right? So government just thinking about today is a big deal in New Zealand. The more people are not happy with what's going on. So there's a lot of things happening in Australia, right? Is a locals. We can say we need some recomposition. We need some voice, So a lot of things going on in this nation as well. The Indian people, I would say, we being mistreated historically. So it is bad, am I right? So in the name of Christianity, especially, you see, I'm not said Christianity is all bad or people did wrong, but they will come there most missionaries, and I started the whole thing, and ended up in these notes. Do you think the people are happy or disappointed? You see, so because the missionaries suggest the option for them, and ended up they feel treated. So that's interesting, That's a lot of things happen because short-sighted people, greedy people made the wrong choices, caused a lot of damage to lives, Think about how many lives lost because of things, because animosity, So, yeah. When you read history, that's what you want to read more than something happened, So to be a godly and wise man thinking things, when you make a decision like this, there are consequences, So, and I don't want to be too serious about it, but that's real history, So this nation has a bad start after that, So that's never was the grievance never disappeared. So let's change everything, So if people not happy with your rule, do you think you're gonna happy ruler? So it's struggle. So go ahead.
There have been two versions of the treaty. An English version and a Maori one.
That's cheating, yeah?
The Maori version of the treaty had used different words from the English version. In Maori, the treaty only gave the British the right to govern the land, to rule them as long as the Maori agreed with their actions. But in English, the treaty said that the British had sovereignty, right?
Sovereignty.
Sovereignty, or complete control over the Maori land. The British had annexed New Zealand, and the Maori had New Zealand.
So you can think about the British oftentimes is brag about it, but they did some terrible things, through history. In terms of their interface or interact with other nations, So yeah. What about India? Remember India? What about China? Opium War. Hong Kong is I'm from China, you might think I'm biased, but what about people in Africa, So everywhere they go, leave a trail of greedy and corrupted ways, So anyway, so let's move on. Esther, I want you to continue to read until I tell you to stop. The next one.
The New Zealand Wars. On the North Island of New Zealand, a Maori chief named
Honhiki. Is that right? Honhiki?
I think so.
Okay.
decided to take his country back. By this time, British settlement had spread across the South Island. Most of the Maori had retreated to the North Island to live. But now the English wanted to buy land on the North Island too. The Maori people were afraid that they wouldn't be able to keep any of the land for themselves. Many complained that the Treaty of Waitangi should be thrown out altogether. They argued that the chiefs who had signed it didn't have the authority to make decisions for all of the Maori people. Honheki himself had been the first chief to sign the treaty. But now, as he looked toward the settlement of
Kororika. That's terrible. Wow. So make it try, Esther.
What?
Do it again.
Kororika.
Kororika. That's interesting language, huh? Yeah.
Where the governor's house stood, he saw only one flag flying, the Union Jack of Great Britain. Honheki had sent men to cut down the flagpole at Kororika. The British put the flagpole back up. The Maori cut it down again. The British put it back up. The Maori cut it down a third time. This time, when the British put the flag back up, they stationed soldiers in front of it. So Honheki sent one of his men to make a fuss on the outskirts of the town. The soldiers, hearing shouts and confusion, went to see what was happening. Another one of Honheki's warriors
I think it's Hiki's.
don't think it's Hickeys. I think
Hickeys?
it's Hickeys
Okay.
warriors
Okay.
ran and chopped the pole down again.
Honey Hickey.
Hickey.
Hickey. Yeah.
Now the governor began to worry.
Koraki. That's where it came from.
Yeah.
Literally, yeah. You know
Really?
Koraki, right? So, yeah. Maybe not. That's more Japanese. Yeah. Go ahead.
With the Maori attack, he decided that to be on the safe side, the town's British settlers should leave until he could be sure that the town was safe. So he packed up the settlers onto ships anchored off New Zealand's coast. When the Moors saw that the town lay near empty, they ran through it, setting it on fire.
Wow.
The British capital of New Zealand had been sacked.
Okay.
The ships pulled up anchor and sailed to another settlement, Auckland. Further down the island. Some of the settlers armed themselves and waited for
Auckland. Yeah.
Auckland to be attacked. Others decided that to head for Australia and wait until the conflict was over.
It's a big city, Auckland, okay, in New Zealand today. I think that's the capital city. And that city called Church, what do you call it? Christchurch, I think something. So, okay. Naomi, why not you continue from there? So,
Where are we at? Was over?
British soldiers armed themselves.
British soldiers armed themselves and marched toward Han Hiki's tribal grounds. But Han Hiki had been joined by the other Maori chief named
Kawiti.
Kaliti?
Yeah. The thing about this is different language, right? So.
Right. Kaliti was 70 years old. He had seen many battles and fought in his day. Together, the two chiefs planned out a defense for their lands. They dug trenches so that the Maori could shoot at the British from safety. At the first big battle between the Maori and the British, 114 British soldiers were killed.
That was a lot of people with the British, okay? So,
The British governor, George Grey, tried to make peace with Han Hiki. At first, Hiki refused. God made this country for us, he wrote to Governor Grey. If it were a whale, we might slice it in half. But it cannot be sliced. We will have to fight for the land that lies between us. It's an interesting.
Can you believe that they hung the wheels? Amazing people,
They
right?
did.
Yeah? No, they didn't?
They what?
They did not?
Yeah, they did.
They did
did
wheelers
what?
shape something. Yeah. So they hunting wheels. In the Indian here hunting wheels. Wheels are huge, right? So, but the people has to work closely in order to catch a wheel because it's huge. And with a little canoe, whatever shape they got, in those days. Thinking about this, people are very good and courageous in terms of fighting, right? So, yeah. Go ahead.
Governor Grey brought in more troops from Australia. The British kept on fighting. The Maori fought back. The battles raged back and forth with no clear winners. At last, Grey persuaded Han Hiki to make peace. The first Maori War, the Flagstaff War, had ended, but nothing.
That's
had
something
been
to write down, right? If you want to take a note. So Flagstaff War, first Maori War. Have you met Maori people? Friend with Maori people? I have some Maori friend actually.
Yeah?
Samoa friend. So they're interesting people.
Yeah.
Different tradition, So the Maoris will go to. One of my friend have a Maori background in New Zealand. He go to deep in the woods for monsters, and they just not coming home to hunt different things. They have strange things. One of the things is the things when the tree have a bark begin to have those things stay a long time. What is that called? Is that thing?
Moss? Sap?
Not moss. It's like a crystal. were able to
In
use
bark?
for carving for different for sculpture, you know. So it's beautiful. You know what a beautiful? Oh, yes. So you go there, you had to hunt that in deep woods, you know.
You
Found a
say
while
they
that's
found it in
become
bark?
like a treasure. Huh?
You said they found it in bark?
Yeah, in the tree bark. In the tree leak, sometimes they have things begin to like a
We saw one at a museum once.
museum exactly the
Tree trunk.
yeah, it's like that color, like a little bit yellowish color, brownish color, but sometimes even catch animal, insect in it, you know.
I
So
think that's
sap.
sap.
sap exactly,
Sap,
yeah. But they call it a special name, so they make
It
art
hardens,
of it.
yeah.
With or big ones, you can carve like this big, you know, like this. So I saw they just showed me some picture. Oh, so many beautiful art forms. It's a museum for theirs.
Yeah.
So they go there for months in order to find one piece, but when found one piece worth a lot of money. It's like
Right.
a hunting good. So do you understand the kind of life there, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. Go ahead.
The Maori still resented the British presence, but the British still insisted that the Treaty of the how do you say it?
Treaty of Waitangi, right?
Waitangi
Waitangi.
bound the Maori to obey the British governor.
Mm-hmm.
Great Britain had annexed New Zealand, but their new colony wasn't firmly in their hands yet. In the next 30 years, the Maori and the British would fight a whole series of wars. Eventually, the Maori would have to give up most of their land to the British. But when they would never give up protesting. Today, the country of New Zealand is still a member of the British Commonwealth, a group of nations that once belonged to Great Britain, and were still friends and allies with the British. And even today, the
Do you know which today's certain nations still belong to British Commonwealth? Can you name a few beside New Zealand? This is the history, you know, or common knowledge we know. What about Canada?
Canada?
Yeah, Canada. What about Australia?
Do they?
Mm-hmm. That's
Part of it, right? Only
still
part.
for Commonwealth. Okay, so go ahead.
And even today, descendants of the Maori people gather at the flagpole that Han Hiki once cut down to protest lost.
Of the land. We conclude there. Every day already boring, and I'm telling you, this is boring book. So we have some fun people, but boring book.
Yep.
Okay. Hold on. We're gonna finish the whole chapter, so
Yeah.
we wrap it up with this book. Get rid of it.
Yeah, that's me.
Huh? Okay.
This up here.
Okay. Let's move on with the next
gonna read
chapter.
real
Let's just
fast?
study. Huh?
Who's gonna read
Middle
real
rush.
fast?
Middle rush.
Ooh, let's word fast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Naomi's
Mark, go ahead,
ready.
spin.
I read word fast
Okay.
in Chinese.
Okay, do it. Okay, read this all in Chinese.
Yeah. I hope.
We'll take a lot of notes.
Yeah. Well, let's see the world in 1950. That's a good year, in the middle of 2 centuries ago. I'm almost one. Okay. So let's look at it. Okay, I'm going to query. Okay, Arabian Sea. Anybody found it? Arabian Sea.
Found it under India.
Ah, good. Bay of Bengal.
Say it.
Bengal. Huh?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Found it. Bengal. Okay. Spain. Hey, Benji, where's Spain?
Right? Above Africa.
Ah, where's Portugal? Portugal.
Portugal.
Portugal. Sorry, then. Where's Great Britain? See it?
Above France.
Spain.
Okay. Where's Mexico? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You know, where's California?
In the United States.
Oh, United States. That's right. Pacific Ocean. Brazil. Atlantic Ocean. Indian Ocean. New Zealand. Good. Important. Yeah. Antarctica.
Way down.
We down there, huh? Yeah. Okay. Persia. China. Well, that's one you should know.
Russia, India,
India, Russia, exactly. Africa. Yeah.
Brazil.
Brazil, exactly. Okay, good. We got the word in our hand. Okay, so Okay. We talking about the good rush. There's good rush. So, okay. Okay, Benji, read the whole thing. It's
The
a short
whole
chapter.
thing? Okay.
Yeah,
Jim Marshall. Oh wait, the Gold Rush.
the good rush, the whole thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Slow it down a little bit.
Jim Marshall had spent years in the wild places of the United States. He'd been born in New Jersey, but he'd struck out for the West while still a young man.
Mhm.
Jim Marshall had marched south with the army to fight against Mexico. He'd wandered north to work as a carpenter. He'd farmed in Kansas, drifted through Missouri, and raised cattle on the California ranch.
This guy went a lot of places, huh?
Mhm. Now he had a new job. A businessman named John Sutter had hired him to build a sawmill on the American River in the Sacramento Valley. Jim Marshall took his tools with him and went to work. John Sutter had given him enough money to buy supplies and hire help. He had promised that Marshall would get 1/4 of all the money that the sawmill earned. Marshall hired Native American workers, a couple of the white foremen, and a cook, and then set up a camp on the banks of the American River. In 8 months, the sawmill was up and
Have you guys been to American River? Who has been in American River? Tell
In
me.
California?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
We've all
very
been there.
nice. Have you guys
except for Benji.
see a statue of this guy called John Marshall?
Maybe. I don't know.
Back in Montana.
Okay, I
The
saw it.
American River where I got baptized.
Yeah, it's cold, huh?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
river water rushed past the wheel, turning the salt waves. Marshall tested the sluice gates, watching water run beneath them. He figured that the sawmill would make a lot of money for Sutter and for him. There were plenty of trees around to cut, and the lumber could be floated down the river and sold. He walked over the river's edge and stood looking around. A glint from the river's bed caught his eye. The afternoon sun bounced off the water, making it hard to see the sand and rock beneath. Marshall bent down and tried to touch the glint. His fingers closed around a pebble, half the size and shape of a pea. He lifted it and let the water run off. The pebble was the color of gold. Marshall and his men sifted through the gravel and sand, looking for more yellow pebbles. Soon they had a whole handful of yellow chips and flakes. Marshall knew that the gold might be fool's gold, a worthless yellow mineral called iron pyrite. It shone like a real gold.
Have you guys seen those fool's gold?
Yeah.
Okay.
If the yellow metal hammered out smooth, it was probably gold. If it shattered when struck, it was more likely to be iron pyrite. Marshall put the largest pebble on a rock and smashed it with another
Excuse
rock.
me.
It flattened out into a thin, soft sheet. The pebbles were pure gold.
Why he put that? Because gold is not hard, actually. Okay.
No, it's
yeah.
not.
It's really
Soft.
soft. Yeah.
Huh.
Mm.
The mill workers collected the gold bits.
That's why the myth of a gold sword. Think about it. It's soft metal. You can't use golden sword for anything. American
Cowboys used to-
decoration.
In the West, when someone gave them gold, they would bite it to see if they left tooth marks on it to know if it was gold.
Ah, yes, that's right. Yeah.
And took them down to the local trading post to use for money. The owner of the trading post, a man named Sam Brennan, was amazed how much gold was up there at Sutter Mill. He went up to the mill himself to look. Sure enough, he collected a whole bottle full of gold.
Mm-hmm.
Here's-
You guys see Sutter Mill? That's a historical place, you know. So. Good. Mm-hmm.
Sam Brennan bought all the mining picks and gold pans he could find, went right back to his trading post and put the tools on sale. And then he saddled up his horses and started on the 100-mile trip to San Francisco.
San Francisco. Mm.
There he rode through the streets, waving his bottle of gold. The gold at Sutter's Mill, Sam Brennan shouted to everyone who listened. You can get rich mighty fast, and make sure you come by your picks and pans, and Brandon's trading post, in nearby Sutterville. A few miners went up to the American River to find gold, and returned to San Francisco with bags of treasure. A few hundred more arrived, then a few thousand followed them. By 1849, everyone in the United States knew about the gold at Sutter's Mill. Because California was a new territory, anyone who was willing to travel to California could drive a stake into the ground and claim empty land as their own. This was called staking a claim.
Staking a claim. That's more than the English, right? So,
Thousands of people raced to California to take their claims up and down the American River. They sang songs as they traveled. Oh, Susanna, don't you cry for me. I've gone to California with my tin pan on my knee.
You're supposed to sing it, Benji.
yeah.
And somebody else singing.
Yeah.
Susanna.
See?
And then blow ye wings, he-ho. For California.
California. Something.
There's plenty of gold, so I've been told, on the banks of Sacramento.
Sacramento. So anybody been to Sacramento? Yeah. Anybody like Sacramento?
Nopers.
Numbers.
Why?
It's pretty.
I don't remember it.
We didn't like living there.
You don't like living there.
It's pretty.
You never live in
Mom and Dad didn't like
Sacramento.
living there.
You visited. I'm joking.
We were like 30 minutes from it.
30 minutes. Yeah. You like
it down the
Sacramento,
mountain?
right? It's
It's
okay.
pretty. Yeah, it's
They have good food there sometimes.
Sacramento.
I remember
was
they
fun.
have good food. So the food
Mount,
is
I
very
don't want to know
big.
that. I don't think cities.
And
Sacramento. San Francisco. That's all Spanish words, man. So, Go ahead.
In less than 2 years, the population of California grew from 15,000 people to over 100,000. Most of these newcomers were 49ers.
What is it called? 49ers. Now, what the book started with? The whole book story. Volume 9. From what? From Elizabeth I to 49ers. That's where the book started. 49ers are good miners. Go ahead.
They lived in posts nearby. The whole towns called boom towns grew up around the trading posts. Miners who found gold
Hey,
were struck.
who live in a boom town?
Yeah,
We
for
did.
sure.
Yeah. Georgetown is a boom town. Can you believe that?
Sweet.
Yeah, the house they rented or
That was a boom house.
Yeah, in the center of the town. That's the start with good miners.
Interesting.
Gold miners lived in that house. House was like 200 years old.
Yeah, we there was actually a gold mine near our house.
Yeah.
We would go.
Remember there was a dam called Clement, Lake Clement?
Mm-hmm.
That dam was literally formed because a gold miner digging gold, the debris destroy the back of the river. In a sense, the debris come down and dam there, so form a lake. Before that, there's no lake. Think about it. How many people is digging gold to form that lake? You know? So, go ahead. Go ahead.
Or struck it rich. Spent wildly in these towns. Sam Brennan's trading post sold so many supplies that Brennan became a millionaire. He owned a fifth of the land in both Sacramento and San Francisco, and opened his own bank. Thousands of miners didn't do so well. To keep hold of the claim, a miner had to stay on it. If he left for more than a week, other miners could claim his land. So miners camped in tents near their stakes, working all day to pan gold in the freezing water or chip it out of the rocky shore. Many barely found enough gold to buy food and supplies. Miners who lost their claims and their savings sometimes turned into bandits, stealing gold and claims from other miners, robbing the brand new banks of San Francisco and Sacramento.
That's some of the interesting story came from around Western stories. So.
Gangs of thieves roamed the countryside. Farmers and ranchers armed themselves to protect their land and their cattle, and to drive off miners who hoped to stake a claim in their pastures. Hoped. But the possibility of finding a huge gold deposit drew miners from all over the world. They came from China, England,
What?
France, Germany,
I don't know
Spain,
that.
Italy, Portugal, and Sweden. All along the California rivers, men whose countries had been at war for centuries rubbed elbows with each other in the mining camps. What does that mean?
It's not funny.
It's very funny.
Over 500 camps with names like Dead Mule Canyon, Groundhog Glory, Liar's Flat,
Yeah.
That's funny.
Squabble Town, and Days,
Minji, you live in Squabble Town.
and Coffee Gulch.
Liars.
That is funny.
I don't understand. It's gibberish to me now.
Hey, Minji's live in Squabble Town.
Squabble Town.
No,
Go ahead.
Liars flat.
Let me read that. I like to read those names,
Sure.
man. Over 500 camps with a name like a Dead Milk Canyon, Groundhog Glory, Liar's Flat, Scrabble Town, and Coffee Gulch. What that even means? So, dotted California rivers. Hey, let me read that. That's funny.
The miners spent their days.
Well, let me read that. I want to hear
Sorry.
the pronunciation.
Okay.
That's fun, you know.
Over 500 camps with the names like Dead Mule Canyon, Groundhog Glory, Liars Flat, Squabble Town, and Coffee Gulch out in California's rivers.
Ah, that's good reading there. So, can you believe that? You have to read that. That's a lot of names, huh?
The miners spent their days laboring on their claims and their evenings in the towns, where they drank, argued, sang, and danced. There were hardly any women in the boom towns, so when the miners danced, they danced with each other. Sometimes they finished off their evening by shooting each other.
That's terrible. Americans, man.
I know.
We have fun and jolly dancing together. We just shoot each other.
1 second later.
That's terrible part. Huh? That's where American came from. So you guys don't have glorious star.
I don't know.
Terrible people. Shoot each other.
Wow.
We're having fun.
Like me and Zach having fun together.
That's together they throw the guy.
Yeah.
Hey, you step on my food, you know?
And we start talking about gold.
Sorry. Okay, finish.
In 1850, California and all its slaves mining camps became part
It's
of the United
what?
States.
Lawless, not ladies.
Slaves.
Yeah.
Slaves? Oh, sorry, lawless.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Sorry. California was the 31st state to join the Union, and in 1850, it was the richest state in America.
Oh, 1815. That's the word map look at, am I right? It's the
Oh,
31st.
still
Days. Huh? Yes. You're gonna go on.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't
Okay,
read yet.
thank you. Okay.
I haven't read yet.
Actually,
Okay.
Baba.
No, use my book. Use his book. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good.
A world of unrest.
Mm-hmm.
250 years earlier, the Spanish had been digging gold out of South American mines.
Mm.
Now Americans dug gold from California rivers. That's a really short.
that was it.
In years between, the whole world had changed. All over the world,
Mm-hmm.
factories were churning out goods.
What I mean is churning out goods. That's
Just like
fun expression.
getting goods.
Getting goods out. Okay.
Cities grew up all around those factories. Cities with beautiful buildings and wide roads at their centers,
Mm-hmm.
but slums around their edges. Railroads lay from the factories through the cities,
We're talking about the urbanization.
Mhm.
Okay? Mm-hmm.
out into the country.
Mm-hmm.
Tracks led from the gold mines of California all through the American West.
Yeah, that's where Chinese came around.
Alright.
They the one lay most of the tracks. So.
Tracks ran from one English coast to the other. Tracks even ran from Europe into the cold, icy lands of Russia.
Wow.
The new republics of South America struggled with themselves as dictators and generals tried to seize power, throw away the brand new constitutions. In the United States, Americans who owned slaves quarreled with those who refused to believe in slavery. Englishmen in Australia and New Zealand kept careful watch over the Aborigines and
Oh, that's
Maori,
wonderful.
who plotted who plotted war to take their lands back.
Mhm.
Indian soldiers in Calcutta whispered to each other about the day when they would throw off the British captains and generals.
Okay, here's my stand. In the future, if we don't get the army giggle, I feel the class.
Okay.
We need to let it have fun. So if you don't laugh, that means not fun. So.
The
That
Chi-
make this guy upset. You know, we need display. Display. Go ahead.
The Chinese emperor watched English merchants unload the opium and longed for the day when he could drive the English out once more. In Europe, still scarred from years of war, the revolutionaries walked streets shouting out against the power of the old kings and noblemen who still ruled over Spain and Italy.
Wow.
In Russia, millions of hungry peasants cast wretched eyes on the lavish palaces of the Tsar and wished for food. Soon, war would divide the United States. War would sweep over Russia and India and China. War would break Europe into fragments. Between 1600 and 1850, the modern nations of the world, the United States, Mexico, Brazil, China, India, France, Spain, Russia, England, took shape. And over the next 150 years, the greatest conflicts the world has ever seen would shake those nations to their foundations.
Wow, that's a very good summary. I like it. Congratulations, everybody. Yeah.
Just
Yeah. From Elizabeth I to 49ers. Okay. You guys need to treat me some gifts, you know, beyond donuts, you know.
Too many times.
No?
Oh, a hug?
Huh?
I'll give you a hug.
Oh, that's best.